Russian President Vladimir Putin, who wants to realize his invasion ambitions in Ukraine, continues to fail on the battlefield. The Russian army, which lost tens of thousands of soldiers in the invasion attempt it launched on February 24, is losing dozens of casualties every day in the face of weapons sent by the United States and Western countries to defend Ukraine. According to the assessments made, the army that Russian President Vladimir Putin trusts very much cannot hold on in the face of the modern weapons of the West. The Ukrainian army loved the HIMARS missile systems, which America has made a breakthrough in combat technology, and continues to use these systems very effectively. In particular, it is very clear that Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be able to keep Kherson, which he sees as a departure to the strategically important port city of Odessa. Because the Ukrainian forces used HIMARS to hit the only bridge in Kherson where the Russians could supply. After the destruction of the bridge, military shipments of Russian forces to Kherson in many regions had to stop. The Russian military has installed radar systems in many regions, but even this has not prevented them from evading HIMARS missiles. Ukraine is now able to hit Russian forces with full accuracy even from 80 kilometers away. The arms aid from the United States has both strengthened the strength of the Ukrainian army and raised the morale of the Ukrainian people in the battlefield. Now in the Russian army, many soldiers do not know where the Ukrainian forces will attack from at any moment and refuse to fight because they are afraid. Russian President Vladimir Putin, whose military power is decreasing every day, is looking for a remedy for this, but in the future he resorts to ways that will give him and his country a headache. Prisoners in prisons in Russia are sent to the front as soldiers in exchange for amnesty and money. Ukraine, on the other hand, is carrying out significant attacks on Russian forces in Kherson. Ukrainian soldiers at the front are fighting an important struggle against Russian forces in order to regain their occupied territories. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has raised his goals and now believes that Crimea should also be liberated from occupation. Russian President Vladimir Putin, on the other hand, is concerned about the arms aid to Ukraine and is looking for a way to overcome them. Now Ukrainian soldiers have state-of-the-art combat systems, which suggests that the Russians are no longer safe in Ukraine. Considering that he will successfully continue the invasion attempt in Donetsk and Luhansk in the Donbass region, Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a significant offensive by Ukrainian forces on the city of Izium, which is considered the key to the Donbass. The Ukrainian army first fired artillery fire at Russian forces in Izium, which it hit with HIMARS missiles, and then with tank troops sent to the region. Ukrainian forces targeted Russians in the southern city of Kherson. Carrying out deep attacks on Russian logistics located north of the city, the Ukrainian forces also used long-range weapons, including the United States-made HIMARS. But the Ukrainian military does not consider these attacks sufficient and is working on final goals that will put an end to the Russian military presence in the city. According to Ukrainian military officials, it is necessary to defeat Russian forces with a devastating blow in Kherson. With the capture of Kherson, the Ukrainian forces will become stronger for the Crimea and the Donbass region. Russian President Vladimir Putin, who considers it impossible to take Crimea, is concerned about the fact that Ukraine's missile forces have reached this far. Ignoring the rules of international law, Russia invaded Crimea in 2014 and invaded the region by holding a fake referendum here. Ukrainian commanders believe that they need to expand the scope of operations against the Russians, both defensive and counteroffensive. Ukrainian forces, airborne troops and Alpha Special Operations Forces are achieving significant success in turning the war in favor of Ukraine with attacks carried out by Russian forces at an unexpected moment. In the southern parts of Ukraine during the winter, the Ukrainian army and the Russian army will face off. According to military experts, the Russian army, which is expected to have difficulty in holding Kherson and Crimea, is not expected to be able to show much presence against the Ukrainian army in the winter months. Ukrainian leaders are calling for expanded and accelerated arms deliveries from the West to support the nascent counteroffensive. Russian President Vladimir Putin was shocked by Ukraine's attack on key Russian targets in Crimea. The range of weapons supplied to Ukraine by the United States has now mobilized many military officials in Russia, and they have begun to plan on what to do. The Russians deny the claim that an attack in Crimea took place, but both satellite images and eyewitness accounts show that they suffered significant casualties. Now the Ukrainian army has armed 700,000 soldiers and wants to inflict a heavy defeat on the Russians in the regions of Kherson, Odessa, Izium, Donbass, where fierce clashes will take place in the coming months. Ukrainians want more HIMARS from the United States, Panzer from Germany, Caesars from France. Western weapons, which changed the fate of the war in favor of Ukraine, are also coming to the fore as systems that the Russians do not want to encounter in the upcoming Great Southern War. Ukrainian officers and commanders predict that they will be able to hit Russian-owned airports, weapons depots and railway hubs with long-range missile systems, thereby winning the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's goal is to liberate Crimea from occupation. Crimea, which is an important place in the Black Sea with both its natural beauties and its strategic location, has been under the occupation of the Russians since 2014. The Russian military is intensively using military bases and airfields there to attack the south of Ukraine. But in recent days, Russian targets in Crimea have been hit and dozens of warplanes, as well as weapons depots, have been blown up. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, "This Russian war against Ukraine and all of free Europe began with Crimea and must end with Crimea. Russia has turned our peninsula, which has always been one of the best places in Europe, into one of the most dangerous places in Europe. But as Ukraine, we will return to Crimea. From Kharkiv region to Kherson, from Donetsk to Enerhodar, from Stanitsia Luhanska to Yalta, from Berdyansk to Novofedorivka, these are all parts of our country, and we will fight until these places are completely free," said. Ukrainian special forces have carried out surprise attacks on Russian targets in Crimea. There are heavier casualties in the attack on the Russian-owned Saki air base than the Kremlin announced. The Russians lost 9 high-level combat aircraft in the Crimea. In addition to these aircraft, the value of which is millions of dollars, important military buildings belonging to the Russians were destroyed. Satellite photos show that Russia's Saki air base in Crimea has been heavily damaged by explosions. Satellite photos taken by the United States-based company Planet Labs show that many Russian aircraft have been destroyed or damaged. It can also be seen in the photos that craters have formed after explosions at the Russian military base and that a large area has burned down. The Turkish-made Bayraktar unmanned aerial vehicles, which are in the inventory of the Ukrainian army, have caused at least as much damage to the Russians as the HIMARS missile systems. Many times the peoples of the countries that want to supply Ukraine with Bayraktar unmanned aerial vehicles have organized aid campaigns.